All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive today. We're going to be exploring this idea, the idea that happiness, it might not actually come from what we have, but how much we enjoy what we have.
Yeah,
Have you ever thought about that?
it's an interesting concept, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, are we all on this thing called the hedonic treadmill and we don't even know it?
It's possible. We're going to be taking a look at all of that. And to help us out, we've got Happiness in Gratitude,
Yeah.
exploring Charles Spurgeon's wisdom.
This is a really fascinating book.
Oh, absolutely. Full of thought-provoking stuff.
Okay, so where do we even begin with this?
Well, I think Spurgeon himself gives us a great starting point. He's got this quote, "It is not how much we have, but how much we enjoy that makes happiness."
Hmm.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's like it really challenges that kind of, I don't, almost like a societal equation we have, like more stuff equals more happiness.
Right, exactly. And Spurgeon is really pushing back on that. He wants us to think about, like, our relationship with material things
Mm.
and to consider whether maybe happiness, like true lasting happiness, it comes from somewhere deeper.
Okay, I like where this is going, but I've got to be honest. This makes me a little nervous
Okay.
because what if I'm stuck on that treadmill, the hedonic treadmill you mentioned? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not gonna lie, I like getting new things.
Of course. Most people do. It's natural to enjoy new things.
Right.
Think about a time when you got something you really, really wanted.
Okay.
Could be anything. A new car, a gadget, some
Oh,
clothes.
yeah, for sure. Like that feeling of, oh, this is it, peak happiness.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. But
Hmm.
how long did that feeling actually last?
Okay, yeah, you got me there. It
Yeah.
fades, right? You get used to it, and then you kind of start looking for that next thing to give you that rush again.
And that's exactly it. That's the hedonic treadmill in action.
Mm.
We chase after these external rewards, these
Hmm.
things. But that satisfaction, it's so fleeting.
It is.
We adapt and the excitement fades. And then we just want more and more and more.
So, okay, if it's not about stuff, then what is it about? If we can't buy our way to happiness, where do we find it?
Well, Spurgeon would say we need to look at the difference between two types of fulfillment. There's external fulfillment. That's what we get from those possessions, those things.
Okay.
And then there's internal fulfillment. And this is the kind that comes from things like purpose, a sense of belonging, having those meaningful connections, feeling good about yourself, self-worth, things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So I guess it's not about denying ourselves nice things, but maybe it's about understanding that they can only take us so far.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
And look, I think most people would agree at least some level of material comfort is, necessary for happiness, like having a roof over your head, food on the table, the basics.
Absolutely, and Spurgeon acknowledges that. This isn't about striving for poverty or anything like that. It's more about being really honest about our motivations. Are we using things to meet those legitimate needs, like you said, the basics? Or are we trying to use things to fill some kind of emptiness inside that? Maybe only something else can truly satisfy.
Wow. Yeah. That is a really interesting way to think about it. So, okay, then how do we cultivate that internal fulfillment, this purpose, this sense of worth? Where does that come from?
Well, that leads us to one of the most important things Spurgeon talks about, gratitude.
Gratitude. Yeah.
He believed that learning to be grateful, to really cultivate a sense of gratitude, that is key to finding true and lasting happiness.
Okay, but I think we've got to dig into this a bit more because most people would probably agree that, yeah, gratitude's a good thing. But I get the sense this book is saying it's way more than that,
Oh, definitely. Way more. Spurgeon didn't just see gratitude as a feeling. He saw it as a practice, something we do,
Mhm.
a way to actively change how we see things, and in turn, how we experience life.
So less about just feeling grateful and more about actually doing something.
Exactly. It's about making a conscious effort to shift our focus. Instead of dwelling on what we lack, we start to appreciate what we have. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we see the good that's already there.
I like that. Turning our attention to the good. But that's got to be hard sometimes, right?
Oh, for sure. It takes practice. But don't worry, the book has some great tips.
Yeah, I think that's where I get tripped up sometimes. It's easy to say, focus on the good. But when you're stressed or things aren't going your way, it's tough to change your perspective.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely takes practice, no doubt about it. But luckily, Spurgeon offers some really practical advice for how to cultivate gratitude. And, it's amazing how relevant his advice is, even today.
Okay, so what are some of these strategies?
Well, one that Spurgeon really emphasizes is keeping a gratitude list.
Oh, right. I've heard of that. You just write down a few things you're grateful for each day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sounds simple enough. But that's kind of the beauty of it. You don't need any special skills, no equipment, nothing like that. All you need is the willingness to just pause for a moment and reflect on the good things you have in your life.
Okay.
And you don't have to write pages and pages either. Even just listing 3 things each day can make a real difference.
That's doable. It's like a gratitude workout, right? Small, consistent effort over time. I like it. But what about those days when it feels really hard to find things to be grateful for? Like, what if you're having a truly terrible day?
Well, that's where the practice comes in. It's about training ourselves to look for the good even when things are tough. And that's what makes that gratitude muscle stronger.
Boop.
Spurgeon truly believed that even in the midst of trials and difficulties, there's always something to be thankful for.
Always, huh? It's about finding those bright spots no matter what. So, gratitude list, check. What else does he recommend?
Another big one is savoring small joys. You know, we often rush through our days so focused on getting things done, checking things off our lists. And in the process, we miss out on those simple pleasures that are all around us.
Yeah, I know. I do that all the time.
I think we all do.
Like, I love my morning coffee, but most days I'm practically chugging it while I'm also checking email and getting ready.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly stopping to savor the experience.
There you go. Perfect example. What if, instead of rushing through it, you actually took a few minutes to really appreciate that first sip of coffee?
Yeah.
Notice the aroma, how it feels in your hands, the warmth, the taste, everything.
Yeah.
It's about bringing this real awareness to those little moments of pleasure and really letting yourself fully enjoy them.
That's beautiful. Just being present. And that actually reminds me, the book talks about comparisons too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. It's incredible because Spurgeon was writing way before social media. But his advice is so relevant to our lives now. I mean, it's amazing.
Cool.
He really warns against comparing ourselves to others because it often leads to, envy, feeling inadequate, and ultimately just unhappiness.
I've been there. Who hasn't? It's so easy to get on Instagram or whatever and just start feeling bad because it seems like everyone else has it all figured out.
It's true. It's so easy to fall into that trap. But we have to remember that what we're seeing online is often a very carefully crafted version of reality.
Right.
People highlight the good stuff and they downplay the struggles. So we end up with a totally distorted view.
Yeah, it's like comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel.
Perfect analogy. And Spurgeon's advice here is so simple but so powerful. Focus on your journey, your own progress, and find contentment in what you have instead of constantly measuring yourself against other people.
I love that. Okay, so we've got the gratitude list, savoring the little things, limiting comparisons. Is there anything else we can do to cultivate gratitude and really get off that hedonic treadmill?
Well, the book also suggests that decluttering our physical space can help a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Because when we're surrounded by clutter, it can weigh us down, physically and mentally.
Yeah, I can see that.
So letting go of things we don't use, don't need, or don't even really enjoy, it can create this sense of lightness, like space to breathe. And then we can better appreciate what we do have.
It's like you're making space for gratitude to come in. Plus, it just feels good to get rid of stuff. There's something very freeing about it.
I agree.
And wait, there was one more tip, right? I remember it had something to do with having fun.
Yes. Spurgeon encourages us to, instead of buying more things, to invest in experiences.
Experiences.
There's actually a lot of research showing that experiences actually lead to more lasting happiness than material possessions do.
That makes sense.
And they contribute to our overall well-being, too.
Totally. I mean, I'm sure a new phone is great and all, but eventually it's going to be outdated. But the memories I have of, say, a trip to Italy with my family, those will stay with me forever.
Exactly. Experiences create these lasting memories, and they allow us to connect with others in a deeper way. And they often challenge us to grow and learn.
So it's about creating a life full of stories, not just stuff. I love that. Okay, so we've got our gratitude toolkit, daily gratitude list, savoring small joys, limiting comparisons, decluttering, and investing in experiences. This is amazing. But you said earlier that these ideas are really relevant today, even though Spurgeon wrote so long ago. So why does this matter now? What makes his message so important in our modern world?
That's a great question. Well, for one thing, we live in this culture of consumerism, right? We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need more to be happy.
More, more, more. It's never enough.
Right. More money, more gadgets, more clothes, you name it. It's so easy to get caught up in that cycle of always wanting and striving for more.
It really is. But Spurgeon's message is this powerful counterpoint to that. We're told that happiness is something we can buy, but he's saying it's already within us. It's about shifting our perspective, not our possessions.
Exactly. And another reason his message resonates so much today is the rise of minimalism. More and more people are realizing that owning less can actually lead to a more fulfilling life.
Less is more. I like that.
It's about simplifying, getting rid of the excess, and really focusing on what matters most.
Which, in a way, brings us back to Spurgeon's emphasis on internal fulfillment.
It's full circle.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think in a time when so many people are feeling stressed and anxious, contentment is such a powerful antidote. When we're constantly striving for more, we never really feel satisfied.
It's true. You're always chasing that next thing.
Right, and that can create so much stress and unhappiness. But when we cultivate gratitude and contentment, we find this sense of peace and joy in the present moment, no matter what our circumstances might be. And that's so much more sustainable, you know?
It is. It's about finding that inner peace. Spurgeon was really on to something here. So we've covered a lot today, but does the book offer any real-life examples or stories? Something that might resonate with our listeners?
You know, it does. It actually contrasts two individuals to illustrate this idea of where happiness comes from.
Okay.
One person is wealthy, they have everything money can buy, but they're deeply unhappy. They've achieved all this external success, but they lack that internal fulfillment.
The classic case of money can't buy happiness.
Exactly.
It's like a reminder that material possessions, while they can be nice, they don't automatically equal happiness.
Right. And then the book contrasts that person with someone who lives very simply. Maybe they've even embraced minimalism, but they find so much joy in relationships, in hobbies, in just everyday experiences. They might not have a lot of stuff, but they're rich in gratitude and contentment.
It's not about the quantity of our possessions, but the quality of our experiences
Yeah.
and our ability to appreciate them.
Exactly. It's about remembering that happiness isn't determined by our circumstances, but by our mindset, by our ability to choose gratitude and joy even when things are hard.
It's a choice, huh? That's powerful.
It is. And I think it's a message for all of us, whether we're facing big challenges or just navigating the ups and downs of everyday life.
So even if you don't have everything you want or everything you think you need, you can still find happiness right now.
Absolutely. It's not about waiting for things to be perfect. It's about finding that happiness in the present moment. And that's something we all have the power to do.
Yeah, it's like they say, happiness is an inside job. But it's so easy to forget that. We're just bombarded with messages that say it's all about getting more and more stuff. But Spurgeon's saying we need to look inward, change how we think.
And that's really empowering when you think about it. We have more control over our happiness than we might realize.
Yeah. It's a choice we can make.
Exactly. We're not just like waiting around for happiness to happen to us. We can actively cultivate it, through the choices we make, how we approach things.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Spurgeon and gratitude, what's the big takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
I think the most important thing is to remember that happiness, it's not a destination. It's not like this reward you get for achieving something. It's a skill, something we can practice and get better at over time.
I like that. A skill.
It's not about waiting for the perfect circumstances or getting more stuff. It's about learning to appreciate and enjoy what we already have right here, right now.
Yeah, that right now part is so key. It's easy to fall into that trap of I'll be happy when,
Right.
when I get that promotion, when I meet the right person, when I have enough money, whatever it is. But Spurgeon's saying, nope, start being happy now with what you have now.
Exactly. And one of those powerful ways to do that, like we've been talking about, is to practice gratitude.
Noticing the good, even the small stuff.
Yes. And taking the time to really appreciate those moments.
This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive. I feel like we've all learned a lot today. I know I have.
Me too.
We've really challenged some of those assumptions we have about happiness. And we've got some practical tools we can use to bring more contentment and joy into our lives. So I think it's only fitting to end with a question for our listeners, something to really ponder.
Oh, I like that idea.
Something that builds on Spurgeon's ideas, but maybe takes it a step further.
Okay, here it is. Imagine you could design your life for maximum enjoyment, not for acquiring the most possessions.
Yeah.
What would that look like? What would be your priorities? What would you choose to let go of? What would bring you the most joy, day in and day out?
Wow. That is a great question. It really forces you to think about what truly matters to you. not what society tells you should matter. It's about designing a life based on your own values, what brings you genuine happiness.
Absolutely. And maybe, just maybe, by shifting our focus from getting more to enjoying more, we can discover a level of happiness we never even thought possible.
I love that. So much food for thought. I encourage everyone listening to really spend some time with that question. If you could design your life for maximum enjoyment, what would it look like? And what's one small step you can take today to start moving in that direction? Maybe it's starting that gratitude journal or truly savoring that first cup of coffee in the morning, decluttering a drawer, planning a fun experience, whatever speaks to you. Remember, happiness isn't out there somewhere, waiting to be found. It's right here, right now, waiting to be discovered. So until next time, keep diving deep and keep seeking out those moments of joy wherever you find them.